Hey, welcome everyone to a review of the JLab Go Lux ANC on-the-ear noise-cancelling headphones. Now, if you want to see the written version of the review, you can find a link to my website in the video description. And there's some interesting things about this one, considering how low price it is, so we'll dive into it. And, well, that kind of ruined the introduction there. I'll dive straight into it. So with that said, let's go into the rest of the review. Yes, I nailed that joke perfectly. Maybe now people will finally start to like me. All right, so here's a weird thing about pricing. They are listed for $50 Canadian and you can only get them on the JLab website. But to ship them here in Canada, like for myself, it defaults with a $20 shipping fee. So they default to a price of $70. Now, will it be available to other retailers like Amazon stuff in the future? Maybe, I don't know, but that's what it is right now because these are pretty much brand new headphones. For Americans, here's the weird thing, it's $50 USD. So despite the Canadian dollar being much weaker than the American dollar, there's still $50 in each respective currency. So the weird thing here is that if you take the shipping fee and the Canadian fee, combine it, which is $70, that equates to almost ironically to the $50 US conversion rate. So even with that additional price here in Canada for shipping, it's hard to complain because it's just a crazy bargain value, but that's best explained throughout the rest of the review based on the performance. So the headphones only support a wireless connection. There's no wired connection support whatsoever. And for wireless connectivities using Bluetooth 5.4, the manual for the Lux states that it'll get you just over 30 feet in wireless range. However, in my testing, I was able to get 50 feet walking across the second floor of my house. That means walking between various rooms with multiple walls in between, so the range is way better than what they state, and it is excellent. As for how many devices you can get in memory, I was able to get 3 devices in memory before having to pair them and make them learn all over again. JLab doesn't state what's the maximum capability, but 3 is more than enough for most people. And yes, it does support dual connectivity, so you can connect to 2 devices at the same time. One could be a laptop playing a movie, one is a cell phone. If the cell phone rings, the laptop movie will pause your audio content and the movie itself, and allowing you to quickly answer the call. However, when you hang up the call, you have to manually resume your movie or audio content on the laptop. Not a big deal, but just something to know. For accessories, there is no traveling case included in the box, whether it's soft or hard. And honestly, that's okay because they're so inexpensive. It's hard to complain about that, so letting that slide there. There's also, again, no auxiliary cable because it doesn't support a wired connection. The only accessory you get is that pure USB-C cable measuring about 6 inches. And I'm very pleased that JLab put in a pure USB-C cable because other headphone manufacturers tend to put a USB-A to USB-C for some bizarre reason. So kudos to JLab on that. Also, there's no power adapter to plug it into a wall outlet. You'll have to use your cell phone or plug it into a computer. But that's the same with almost every headphone manufacturer. They do the same thing. As for how they look okay. They're nothing special. After all, these are budget-friendly headphones. Thankfully, with the price, they don't look terrible either. They are available in various colors, such as graphite, which is what I have, white, and mauve. Mauve? Mauve. I don't know how I'm pronouncing that. I'm probably butchering it. I'm sure my kids in grade school could pronounce that better than I could. But anyway, moving along, the last color is sage. And it's weighing a hefty 235 grams, despite them looking lighter than they actually weigh. However, that weight might be a good thing because it goes to a firm body construction, with me putting it through the ringer and some abusive testing. And with an inexpensive price tag, it's great to see. I couldn't find any information in the manual or online on the JLab website if they're dust and water resistant. There's nothing stated, so my recommendation is don't get them wet or dusty at all. They probably are not resistant in any form or manner. So when it comes to comfort, whether it was wearing glasses or not wearing glasses, for about 2 to 3 hours per session on or off for glass, it varied. I found it very comfortable. It didn't make my ears irritated, warm or hot. In any scenario, I felt great. That's probably attributed to a few things. The first, of course, is the headband flex isn't too bad. It's decent. The next is the ear pad cushioning. Pretty hard to find on such an inexpensive price tag headphones where they're decently soft and thick. And then, of course, at the headband cushioning itself, very generous amount of cushioning placed for people who have little to no hair, thanks to JLab calling this fabric here cloud foam, whatever the heck that is, I don't know. You know what, it's comfortable, that's what matters, more importantly than anything else. As for working out, I do not recommend it, but that's with any on-the-ear headphones from any manufacturer because they rest literally on your ears. They will sweat excessively during your workout. It gets pretty gross and nasty. My recommendation, you don't have to follow it if you want to be a disgusting slob. No, I'm just kidding. JK, LOL. No, I take it back. No, but seriously, I'm just joking. You can be a slob if you want. I'm a slob 24/7. There, I said it for you. So to each their own. To adjust the size, the headband adjustment is done in notches. It's not a sliding mechanism. As for the ear cup rotation, it's great going in all directions, and it'll fit on various head shapes and ear shapes as well comfortably. There's no replacement units on the JLab's website for replacement ear pads, probably because they're just too new. Like, these are still fresh off the market. They've only been out for like a month. And during that time, I'm doing pure battery draining testing because the battery's crazy on this, which I'll get to shortly. Also, because they're so new, I can't find any ear pad replacement units from third-party vendors like Amazon either, so maybe eventually they'll be available. So if you do travel often and you don't want to keep them on your ears and you don't have a case because they're not included, what do? Well, it's very simple. Just rest it on your neck. The ear cups are up, just fold it in, feels fine, and when you fold it in, it doesn't dig into my neck either, so this is your go-to solution. All controls are physical buttons and are only on the right ear cup. On the back is the button for power. Holding it will enter Bluetooth pairing mode, and it's also used to play pause content or answer hang up a call with a single tap. But double tapping it will use your smartphone's assistant, and there are a few other commands available. Above that is a volume rocker. Holding the volume up will go to the next track, holding volume down will go to the previous track, and holding both buttons on the volume rocker will switch between the equalizers available in the app, which I'll cover later on. And lastly, at the front near the bottom is the ANC button, which basically ANC stands for active noise cancelling, to suppress noise around you so you can hear your content better. It'll also then cycle into transparency mode, which allows you to hear your surroundings better by projecting sound from the microphones and into the ear cups. And lastly is regular headphone mode with no special technology, which allows the battery to last much longer. There are a few other functionalities available with the ANC button, depending on how you press it and use it, but they're non-essential commands. Smart Assistant functionality when testing with Google and Android Assistant was perfect. It always played the chime, so I knew exactly when I was listening, and it heard my commands just fine. There is no active play pause, which basically means when you're playing content with the headphones on, when you take them off, it'll automatically pause content. When you put them back on, it'll automatically resume. That's not expected at this price point. It's such a inexpensive budget. So something I just wanted to mention is not there. All right, so active noise canceling. How does it do on a bus? Because more likely this is what you're gonna use it for, right? Playing music, if you're close to the bus engine, if you're on that part of the bus in there, so you're situated, you can listen to music comfortably between 75 and 85% volume, depending on how clear you want it to play. That's pretty loud, but that's what you have to put up with. Now on a plane, this is where it's not gonna work that well, but they're just so inexpensive, it's kind of what you expect, right? To listen to music somewhat clear, you have to put them close to 90% volume, which can be just generally bad for your hearing. So just don't recommend it, especially if you want to watch a movie with a lot of dialogue. You can imagine it's going to be even worse. You got to pump it even louder. Just passable for public transportation if you're sitting right next to like the engine of a train or something. So that's that with low pitch sounds at high volume. With people talking, and if you're in a crowded room with people talking a lot, listening to music comfortably can be done about 50 to 55% volume. If you're listening to a podcast or a news, it can be done comfortably at roughly 65% volume. So I hope that gives you an idea that ANC works better than it should at this price point. Remember, they're very inexpensive. They performed better than I expected them to. I was expecting next to no difference at all. Noise cancelling when wearing glasses makes no difference. I found that it still suppressed noise just the same amount. Okay, what about transparency mode? It is available, but it does almost nothing. It's the same as having regular headphone mode, putting on the headphones, they're covering your ear and trying to have a conversation. Everything is kind of muffled around you. So can you have a conversation with someone right in front of you? Yeah, but it's muffled. That's exactly what transparency mode sounds like. It makes no difference. But I'm not going to deduct a point for that at the end of this review and conclusion because honestly, at this price point, I didn't expect transparency mode. So I look at it more as a bonus factor that just doesn't work that well. So we just kind of call it neutral. Last item about listening modes, there's no side tone mode, which basically means when you're on a phone call, you can hear your surroundings better as well as your own voice. So it gives you an idea how loud all the noise combined will be projected to the person on the other end of your call. That's not expected at budget-friendly priced headphones, so just something to mention, don't expect it. All right, the battery, one of the key highlights of these headphones. JLab claims with ANC on, you'll get just over 40 hours of battery. In my testing, I got 44.8 hours. With regular headphone mode, they'll claim you'll get over 70 hours. In my testing, I got a whopping 79.9 hours, which is incredible for such a price tag. For recharging the headphones, JLab says it'll take about 3 hours, but in my testing, I always average 2.5 hours, so slightly better than what they say. The USB-C charging port for the headphones themselves are on the bottom of the right ear cup. All right, so we're doing a microphone sample right now with the Lux in a quiet setting. What I'm going to do is switch over to a noise replicated environment.
and play audio through the camera microphone so you can hear how noisy it is, and then switch over to the Go Lux microphone quickly to see if it can suppress the background noise. And then finally do a wind test with the fan sitting just off camera here about 3 feet in front of me to see if you can block a lot of that wind noise. Okay, so replicating a noise environment with the camera microphone right now and switching over to the Go microphone as I'm just kind of rambling on to see if it will suppress a lot of the background noise, and stop talking for maybe like 2-3 seconds to see if it still captures through or not. And now we're doing the wind test, and we'll be turning in various directions to see if any of that wind noise comes up and really kind of annoys what it would be for like the person on the other end of a potential phone call.
All right, for audio codecs, this is supporting SBC and AAC. Pretty standard stuff, so nothing surprising and shocking there, especially given the price. Now, when it comes to the default flat profile, which is actually it's not flat, sorry. The default equalizer profile is called the JLab signature. That's what you'll find in the app when you turn it on. It's a bit more focused on bass heavy side of things, not too much, but it is there. And here's one of the things I noticed kind of strange, is that the JLab signature equalizer for other JLab devices I reviewed, like the Pop ANC, which is super inexpensive, truly wireless earbuds, or JLab's newest and most advanced headphones that they just released, the Epic Lux Lab Edition, which came out the same time as these headphones. They were superb, one of the best headphones I've ever reviewed at mid-tier priced. I put links to both those reviewed products, which are both superb from JLab. They're on a roll. I'll put links to those reviews in the video description. Anyway, going on a tangent. The default profile from JLab on those two devices were great. Here, I noticed that it kind of makes the bass a little muddy and a little rough. It's not the crisp, clear, smooth that you want. When adjusting the custom equalizer, this is where performance really matters, and this is where I was able to get a much cleaner bass sound and wasn't as muddy. I did have to play with the equalizer quite a bit with the various things adjusted up and down, and here's what I found personally that works best for me, was increasing the bass and the highs up quite high, increase the levels there, but for vocals, decrease it. Not too much, because then you don't want to suppress vocals too much. The bass comes in a bit more cleaner. Does it still have a slightly muddy rumble to it? Yes, with certain rap songs. It's hard to complain at this price point. If you're a bass enthusiast, don't be discouraged. Just kind of expect what you get at this price point, okay? But now when it comes to increasing vocals and we're focusing on the vocalists, it can be done. I had to notice that I increased vocals up, but decreased bass ever so slightly, and I was able to get vocals through. So it requires a bit of experimenting. It's kind of what you expect at this price point. Highs was the most difficult one to adjust and notice, even with certain dance songs and rock songs with the high, crisp, clean tweaking sounds. It's very hard to notice. It hardly made a difference, to be honest. Again, overall sound signature I thought was pretty good, except for the muddy bass that slightly hinted through. Otherwise, at this price point, it is hard to complain. It might be too much to cover because most of it was done throughout the review itself. Like you have ANC mode, you have equalizer, which I covered already, and you have button controls. One thing I really want to mention and almost forgot is that you have custom controls per buttons that are available. I think this is fantastic on JLab. Kudos to them for allowing that customization, which again is not expected at such inexpensive headphones. In fact, you don't really find that even on mid-tier priced headphones, so closer to $250 Canadian. Spatial mode I find to be honestly a gimmick for any headphones, including this set, so I'm not even talk about it. Music and movie mode, I don't find a difference, to be honest. I just tend to adjust the custom equalizer myself, and I'm much more than content with that. There's safe hearing mode, which I love to see. Again, this is a bonus. And of course, you have Bluetooth connections, which allows you to manage your connected Bluetooth devices. And that's pretty much it. If you go to My JLab, it's just information like a manual, other JLab functions and devices available, kind of like advertisement. And settings doesn't have much except for like contacting support. And that's pretty much it. I can confidently say these are the best budget value headphones I've ever reviewed. It is astonishing to me how good JLab is doing. They're on fire. So truly great wireless noise cancelling headphones at budget-friendly pricing. Like this is really underpriced in my opinion, but JLab is really trying to push hard on the market, you can tell. So definitely worth getting if you're in a real budget. This is the one to get. Very impressed, and that's pretty much a wrap. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to check out my social links and website link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.